Hello and welcome back to a special World Cup edition of Swinging at Shins. I am joined in the studio, and by studio I mean my living room, by Aaron Slater. Aaron, how we doing?
I'm doing well. Pretty pumped because we just came back from the beer garden and watched the opening of the World Cup with Ecuador and Qatar.
That was a 2-0 win to Ecuador. A very deserved win, I think we'll say.
It was definitely better than what we thought because there was alleged gambling and all that.
Oh, yes. Here's a couple million euros. Please lose. No. That didn't seem to happen, but we'll touch on that later. The first thing that we want to touch on is on this show, we have yet to bring up the fact that this World Cup is in Qatar. That's something I know Aaron and I have been wanting to talk about. It's hard to figure out exactly how we feel about this because this is kind of our Christmas. I mean, it's a Christmas that comes only every 4 years. The World Cup is amazing and we love it.
Mm-hmm.
To tell you the truth, I kind of had the same feelings when the World Cup was in Russia 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Russia, not exactly known for human rights.
No, it's not the happy place, is
it? They had already annexed Crimea at the time.
Yep.
They had the Georgia invasion had already happened.
Mm-hmm.
I remember during the World Cup final, Pussy Riot invaded the field. We're kind of striking out.
Yeah.
We're getting real sick of these countries that treat people poorly. So even though the World Cup has started, we wanted to talk with that. And the first thing I want to bring up is our FIFA president, Gianni Infantino. He feels Qatari. He feels African, which, by the way, Africa is the biggest continent that we have.
Yeah.
I mean,
one up
Asia.
Yeah.
But it's so diverse. Are we really going to say that a Moroccan feels exactly the same way that a Yemen person does? But anyway, he feels African. He feels disabled and he feels gay. And he says that he can empathize with all of this because he was picked on for having red hair when he was a kid.
Is that why he's bald now?
I think that is. I think that's exactly why he's bald now.
I guess I would shave my head too.
Oh, and freckles. He brought up freckles.
You brought up freckles?
I never got picked on because of my freckles, but I have no idea. You want to talk about out of touch with reality. The other thing that's been going on is Qatar has had their fake fans of countries. Can't bring that up, though, because now we're a racist podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
I should edit that out.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe we won't. I'm new to this whole editing thing. But it's just the human rights aspect of this is definitely bothersome to us. If we don't speak on it as much as we could, it's because we definitely follow football more than we follow human rights. And maybe that's wrong. And maybe that's something that we should do differently. However, this is still Christmas for us. And Christmas became a consumerism holiday. And we all still partake in it. So that being said, the opening ceremonies happened a couple hours ago. And oh boy. First of all, $220 billion, you can't figure out how to do lip syncing correctly. I mean, the Morgan Freeman stuff was awful.
Oh, I mean,
I thought I was having a stroke halfway through.
They're too busy building. They couldn't worry about production. It was all building.
It was bad. And then they preached about tolerance, and I have a problem with that. I have a problem when your version of tolerance starts with me being tolerant of your intolerance. But whatever. They did wave and flag, and they had all the flags up. So it's just like any other World Cup, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, their mascot looks like a ghost, but we're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about is stuff that we want to change since our last World Cup preview. And one of them was we talked about Iran possibly having a good home field advantage, except for you have read that that's probably not what's happening.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of Iranian fans are going to protest it because of their government. There was a incident recently with
Mahsa Amini.
Yeah, Mahsa Amini.
And we apologize for any mispronunciations.
She was collected by the morality police that Iran has and was allegedly beaten to a coma, found in a Tehran hospital, later pronounced dead after that. As we know, or maybe some of you don't know, there has been a lot of uprising going on with civil rights and how women should dress in that country because it's a very religious heavy country, and they believe in women having to cover up. But this lady and many other civilians believe that times should change, and that, this could be a sign of even more protest. And it gives this stage, especially for the Iranian civilians, to be able to share their story, their light, and wanting to be able to protest their rights, their ideas.
Well, and Aaron and I were talking about this earlier. We're not a political podcast or a soccer podcast, so we're not going to try to say that we have all the answers. However, from a religious standpoint, anyone should be free to do whatever they want.
Yep.
When you have morality police, it doesn't sound like you're free to do whatever you want anymore.
Absolutely not.
And the death toll from the protest seems to have risen to 300 last time we checked.
Yeah, I think it was like 300, and then 15,000 people in jail.
Yeah, that's
where are you putting them?
Well, I don't know. We're pretty good at putting people in jail.
Yeah, that's true.
So, anyway, moving on to the soccer, and believe me, we are going to be highlighting the social issues as much as we can going forward. But moving on to the soccer, let's talk about the big absentees from the World Cup. One thing that you and I do need to go over is we both brought up Timo Werner as a place for a German to get goals from.
Well,
don't know how you and I both forgot he's out.
Well,
but Timo Werner's out
because he doesn't score goals. It's got to be 6 feet or closer. He can't score goals.
He didn't score goals for Chelsea. Now he's back in RB Leipzig. He'll be fine.
Yeah, well, different styles.
Anyway, Sadio Mane is officially out for Senegal. Paul Pogba is out for France. Jota is out for
Portugal.
Yep. I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to screw that up, but out for Portugal. Wijnaldum's out. N'Golo Kante's out. We've known that for a while. England has lost both their fullbacks, Chilwell and James.
Yep.
I'm going to be very interested tomorrow to see if they put Ben White at right back. It's been working out great for Arsenal. And I know that Southgate wants to play a slightly different style of game, but it's been working.
They still have Trent, and he's a very good.
No, Trent didn't get called up.
I thought he got called up because of, or they still, all right, fine. If Trent didn't get called up, then they still have Kieran Trippier. You're telling me I personally would rather go out with Trippier because they're both in, Ben White is in good form as well. I think I'd go out with Trippier because he's got that set piece capability. He can free kicks. True,
but England has a lot of set piece capability. Trippier may actually be the best of them, and that's true. I don't know. It's going to depend. We're up in arms about not up in arms, but we are very undecided on the USA's lineup. I'm even more so on the England lineup. I almost spoiled for choice. Is Grealish in? Is Grealish out? I think that's a very big deal. Who starts on the right side? Is it Sterling? Is it Saka? Kane's probably starting up the middle. That's fine.
Well, that one's pretty straightforward.
Kyle Walker is probably going to be who the right back is going forward, but reports already out that he's missing the Iranian game.
He's missing, which isn't a big deal, realistically. Let's be honest.
Hopefully it's not a big deal.
For them to just be able to get 3 points out of that.
This is England in the World Cup. I don't know if I trust them. England in the World Cup is like the World Cup winners in the next World Cup.
But every year.
It has always seemed cursed. Beer has also been left out of the World Cup.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was big.
2 days before.
2 days before.
Yeah, it was announced
drop them out. That's a horrible time to get dumped out of the World Cup.
Yeah.
It seems to be a stadium ban only, unless you're rich. If you're rich and in a suite, you still get to drink as much as you want.
True, be privileged.
Yeah. So I think this is going to lead to a bunch of problems.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think a bunch of English and Welsh and Dutch and Americans.
You mean the drinkers?
And Australians.
Yeah, don't forget about them.
God, we're all from Britain. Apart from the Dutch. But still, are all going to try to sneak a bunch of alcohol into the stadiums using their stomachs. And I think that's going to turn into an issue. But, hey, it's their country. We're just living in it.
Yep. No, we're just playing in it.
That's true. It's a World Cup for the next long while. We're living in it. Is there anything that you want to change with your World Cup predictions before we get to the first match?
Oh God, probably France going as far as they are now.
Yeah, especially Benzema's out now.
Yeah,
Oof.
That's going to be a big problem. They still have plenty of scorers with Mbappe and
Griezmann
and
Giroud.
Drew, sorry. And there's the Borussia Mönchengladbach player. Marcus Thurman. He's still really good, but he can play on the wings and up center. Really find it confusing that they're not going to replace Benzema with anybody.
Yep. Just so when Didier Deschamps was asked about that, his answer was because that's what I decided. It's as simple as that. I don't know if he's expecting to lose someone else and use that slot then. I got to tell you, I agree. I don't think the problem is going to be from France's forwards. Their midfield looks gutted.
Yeah.
And again, gutted in a way that only the French midfield could be gutted. But Rabiot has been playing much worse than he has been used to be playing.
Mm-hmm.
That seems to be everyone on Juventus right now. I mean, I'm worried about Weston McKennie for the same reason.
Let's hope not.
Matteo Guendouzi, I understand he plays for Marseille. I'm going to say this right now. I do not think that he has the maturity and the headspace to play in the World Cup. I think that he's going to be the part of Zinedine Zidane that does the headbutt and not the part that does the wonderful goals.
You know, and that'd be kind of funny to see, though, all that hair flowing.
Oh, I'd love that. Oh, the headbutt with all the hair.
Right?
I mean, that's the biggest problem with Zidane's headbutt with Zidane's. It was bald.
Yeah.
It was nothing, but the hair would be gorgeous. But still, it's an issue that I don't know. I think that we are going to continue on with the last World Cup winners getting dumped out of the group stages. I really do. I said that before. I think even more so now. I
still think they'll get to knockout stages, but I don't think they'll go as far as the finals anymore. I think whoever they're facing, they might even. This is the problem now with that whole prediction thing. If they even get in second, they're going to be sent to a totally different area. Mm-hmm. So it's like, even if they were to be first, I think England at that point would have a shot when they get to the round of 16, or not the round of 16, excuse me, the quarterfinals there of beating France. So maybe England moves through, and it would look like your prediction in that case would hold more steadfast than mine. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's going to be very hard pressed to see them go as far as the finals anymore.
Yep, and for what it's worth, I'd never had them going that deep. Which, not to say I'm a French hater, he'll be the first to tell you. I was the one telling him in 2018 France is going to win the World Cup. I was telling him in April that year that France is going to win the World Cup. And this year, I don't see it. I mean, Raphael Varane is another guy out.
Official?
Yeah.
You.
Right there.
Not great.
It's going to be an issue. I mean, William Saliba's going to fit in great if they play him. And again, I'm not saying that they won't. I'm just saying that it's one of those, if you look back historically at the teams that do very, very well at winning the World Cup, and I actually think this is England's biggest problem. When Spain won that World Cup in 2010,
yep,
everyone on that team almost played for Barcelona or played for Real Madrid.
Yeah.
But they played together.
Yeah.
When Germany won that World Cup in 2014,
yep,
like half the players played for Bayern Munich.
Yeah.
It's the guys who play together the most that do the best.
That makes sense.
France is the most split up of the big European leagues. England has all but 25 players come from the Premier League.
Yep.
One player comes from the Bundesliga. Can you name him?
Jude Bellingham.
In Germany, like 20 of the players come from the Bundesliga.
Yep.
In Italy, I think 17 or 18 come from Serie A. Don't quote me on that. I'm not 100%. League is the biggest difference. I mean, they're spread out. They're everywhere.
They get picked over the most anyway, too.
Now, the counter argument to that is Argentina and Brazil, who are both the heavy favorites to win this World Cup. I mean, heavy favorites. Most of those guys don't play together. You know, you got, I remember the splits. 3 of them are on Man United for Brazil.
Yep.
2 of them are on Arsenal.
Yep.
Several of them are on Real Madrid. You know, they're split up.
Well, 7 will be all right. You only need 7, right?
But still, the point is...
You need 11.
You do need 11. It's almost like they call it a starting 11. Any changes to your starting goalkeeper for Brazil? You still think Ederson?
Yep.
Okay, I still think you're wrong.
Okay.
Moving on. Oxford did a mathematical projection on who is going to win the World Cup this year.
Mm-hmm.
They give Brazil. Yeah, I'm going to read this carefully. We're going to read it from the inside out. Brazil is supposed to face Belgium mathematically in the final. I was a little surprised by Belgium, but then again, when I look at one side of the bracket versus the other, which I brought up, it kind of makes sense to me. That side of the bracket is probably going to be weaker.
Yeah.
It depends on how groups shape up. However, the way we're looking at groups, that side of the bracket is probably going to be weaker. I can see Belgium coming out of that. If it is Brazil and Belgium in the final, they give Brazil a 61% chance to win the final. However, in the semifinals. Yeah,
that's a pretty. I see that number right there. It's pretty wild.
Brazil has a 51.6% chance to beat Argentina. So Argentina has a 48.4% chance to beat Brazil.
Closest to 50-50 as possible.
Yeah, it might as well be a coin toss, which is what we've been talking about the entire time. I told you before we started this, I am switching back to Brazil winning the World Cup.
Boo.
I will switch back and forth again, probably. It is just such a coin toss between those two teams.
Yeah, no, I agree. They're very evenly weighted. It all comes down to injuries throughout the group stages. Honestly, if either one of them come out unscathed on group stages, then they're poised for deep runs.
And I think that's why I'm giving the edge to Brazil just a bit. Because as we talked about, you have guys like Richarlison and Martinelli that might not even see the field, right?
Yeah.
If those are your guys who are covering for the depth, I mean, this is the same thing everyone's been saying about Arsenal.
Yeah.
Man City's lined up better to win the title than Arsenal, even though Arsenal 5 points ahead, because Man City has more like-for-like replacements. Brazil and Argentina, I kind of feel the same way.
Mm-hmm.
Argentina's got a very good squad.
Oh, God,
Brazil, just down the line, I just think has better replacements.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if for somehow, and it's not like it's never happened, it happened in the MLS Cup. If somehow Allison comes out and breaks his leg, stopping a guy, you replace him with Ederson.
Yeah, no,
who would be starting any other World Cup team, or vice versa. I think Brazil has it because of that reason.
I don't. Christ. There's no wrong answer.
He's been a big Argentina fan.
There's no wrong answer. Give me Emi Martinez.
And that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I'm a big Emi Martinez fan, but he's been an Argentina fan for a very long time. I remember you being upset 8 years ago in 2014 when Germany beat Argentina.
Oh, that was sad.
I know, but that was such a beautiful goal by Mario Götze.
Oh, did you see the meme where it was that it was a side-by-side and it was Argentina players looking at Mario Götze like, oh no, he's in the squad again.
Yeah, I did see that. All right. You and I just got back from the beer garden. We watched the opening World Cup match. It was Ecuador versus Qatar.
Yep.
And I got to tell you, from my point of view, it went kind of exactly the way I expected it to go.
Yeah, it was a cakewalk for Ecuador, honestly. And it should have been 3-0, but, nobody knows how offsides is worked anymore. So we'll just.
Yep. I understand we're Americans. We don't know how offside works. Was his foot offside when the goalie punched it? Yes. Does it matter because the goalie punched it? I don't think so.
Same.
I guess they ruled that the Ecuadorian got his head to it, and that's that. I don't know. It sure seemed like a good goal to me. I mean, there were calls in the field, in the bar about how Qatar is going to win the World Cup because they're going to bribe their way to it. That's not going to happen. No one has that much money.
No. No.
Yeah, that's true. A little bit surprising looking at this. Ecuador had expected goals of 1.2 to Qatar's 0.3. 0.3 for Qatar does not seem
generous.
Yeah. If anything, it seems generous. One thing I'm interested in, possession. 47-53 in favor of Ecuador. It did not feel that way.
A lot of that 47% came in the first 15 minutes.
I think a lot of it also came in
second half.
Time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That second half where Qatar tried to press up the field and retain a little more possession, be more attacking. Yep. That's where that 47% came from. But other than that, I really think it should have be more like 70% Ecuador.
Yep.
But
Both goals came in the first half. The first one off a penalty by Ener Valencia. The second one off a beautiful header,
Oh, it was so cool.
also by Ener Valencia. It
Yeah.
was a beautiful header.
Yep.
It was bad marking by Qatar, but it was a beautiful cross. It was right on him. He had a lifetime to think about what he wanted to do with it, and he did exactly what you needed to do with it.
Yep.
It was absolutely beautiful.
Striker's mindset right there.
After that, Qatar looked a little bit. They had good structure. They had good structure when they had the ability to have good structure.
Yep.
And I said this to you in the bar. When they had the ball, or when Ecuador was advancing on them, as soon as the structure had a slight bit of breakdown, it was almost like they had no idea what to do.
No, yeah.
And they didn't know what to do when they had the ball in their structure.
I thought so too. They were very like deer in headlights, essentially.
It's very big. A lot of things going on for them. Their highest rated player on FOTMob was a 7.2. That feels about right.
Yeah.
I don't think Ecuador looked lights out. I think this is exactly what Ecuador needed. I think that the Netherlands-Senegal game tomorrow at 11 is going to teach us a lot about where Senegal is.
Yep.
I do not expect them to win. And even if they go through, I do not expect them to win.
No, God, no.
But if they look competitive against the Netherlands, I could see them advancing. That being said, Ecuador has done everything they need to do to put themselves in a good position to advance.
They looked good off of free kicks too on the attacking side. So
against a Qatari team that was taller than them,
it looked much taller. Yeah.
No, you're.
So I think
exactly right.
There's some sort of potency somewhere in that Ecuadorian team, and they're not a team to write off. Essentially, they're like they could pull out of Group A.
Going back to the Oxford mathematical projections, for what it's worth, looks like Ecuador has a 44% chance of being the second team out of Group A.
I mean, if I was looking at math, that sounds pretty decent.
And I don't know. I think they're going to look good. I think they're still my pick to come out of Group A. I think it's going to be Netherlands by a mile, and then Ecuador. But that's mostly because Mane is going to be out. Also, if Valencia keeps it up, he was prolific in the front. I liked him a lot. I think he did very well.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Looking forward to what we have in store tomorrow. We start the World Cup proper. 8 a.m. England versus Iran. I know I'm going to be watching that in my lap under the desk at work as much as I can.
Yeah, I'll find an air handler somewhere to sneak into.
Exactly. England easy winners.
Yeah.
Should be.
I would think so.
Should be. We'll see. Like we've been talking about, a little bit of a depleted squad, but we'll see. And then Senegal, the Netherlands, we talked about it. We both expect a Netherlands win.
Yeah.
And then the big match, USA versus Wales. As you guys can see, we will be at the Beer Garden in Albany for that match. I mean, come hell or high water. Unless one of my immediate family's in the hospital, that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah.
That's about what it's going to be.
It's going to be my home for the next while.
Oh, yeah. And then after that, coming up the next day, 4 matches. I want to see, Argentina and Saudi Arabia at 5 a.m. You waking up for that one?
I'll be up anyway.
Yeah, that is
yeah,
true.
it's my
you are
it's my
riser.
wake up time.
Easy.
I mean,
Argentina win.
Walk in the park, Kane.
Yeah. Denmark versus Tunisia could be interesting. I know a lot of people are rating Tunisia highly. I think Denmark's going to win. France versus Australia at 2. That's going to be a big deal, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Australia looks very competitive, even if France wins, if Australia looks competitive, that's going to be the cracks showing.
Yeah.
And then Mexico versus Poland at 11.
That one I'm more intrigued by than any of these because of Lewandowski in Poland, and I mean my influence for Matty Cash being Villa fan, and Mexico just being neighbors, and their hype as far as them always performing in competitions well.
Yeah, no, I think on Tuesday that's easily the most competitive match.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yep.
And I think it's going to be very interesting. And then on Wednesday, our goal is to have another podcast out on Wednesday covering all the Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday games.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see. It's going to be the day before Thanksgiving. Lot going on, but we'll see. Morocco versus Croatia at 5 should be an easier Croatian win.
Yep.
Germany versus Japan. Heart says Germany. Head says Germany. That little part in the back of my head,
Is that me saying Japan?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Again, for those of you who may remember, Japan was my pick for not going to do that much, surprisingly.
Mine was the opposite.
Yeah, I know. 11 o'clock, the other matchup from that group, Spain and Costa Rica.
I don't think we're going to see that same Costa Rica. Kyler Navas hasn't even played a single match since September.
That's true.
I don't know if he's going to look rusty. He's still world class. He's still a world class goalkeeper, and he can play literally anywhere. But I'm assuming his wages are tremendous to stay at Real Madrid. So
he's at PSG now.
PSG. Yep. Good point.
Yeah, no.
Thank
he's
you.
I think Spain. I think you might be right. I think I might have picked the wrong team at a Group E to not do anything. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. And then to end it, Belgium and Canada. Do you want me to buy that 10-ounce bottle of maple syrup for you?
This one's going to be a draw. Mostly because I have Canada going through and I like Belgium. So it was like, shoot, what do you want from me?
Do you see right here in Oxford says Belgium's going to make the finals.
Oh, okay.
But they're going to draw to Canada.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, you heard it here, folks, guys. If he's right, he is clairvoyant. And if he's wrong, he's just,
Third eye's open, bud.
Uh-huh. All right. Ooh, buddy. All right. I think that's going to conclude it for our show. Do you have anything else?
Nope.
All right. Please make sure that you guys like and subscribe the Swinging at Shins YouTube channel. If you hit the bell icon, you'll be notified every time we upload something else. We are also on Spotify and on Apple Music. Any kind of subscriptions and ratings you guys give us there be a huge boost to us.
Yep.
We are under the umbrella of Wicked Good Sports, which is got all your sporting needs, everything you want. There's the Miami Minute. There is a podcast about the Bruins called The Power Play. Eventually, sometimes I even get on there and talk about baseball.
Oh, you do?
Around the diamond.
Oh, good
the
for
Red
you.
Sox sometimes. And then Aaron and I have our own Wicked Good Sports shows. He has the Villa, which is phenomenal and getting a ton of views, and he deserves all of them.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're doing great with that. And I have the Way West End, which covers the EPL current leaders by 5 points, Arsenal. Not going to let anyone forget that till Christmas.
No, you shouldn't.
Least.
You shouldn't. You should just be chanting Arsenal chants while the World Cup's going on.
Oh, that's probably what's going to happen.
You should.
There's going to be a lot of Albany Gooners there.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, we are also in Albany. We, being me and everyone else in the Albany Gooners, is starting a supporters group there. We've been in talks with Arsenal America about becoming official. We have our own group. You can find us at Instagram and on Facebook and on Twitter at Albany Gooners. That's GUOONERS. I almost put you in there anyway because I didn't want to say Gunners, but that's where it's at. And yeah, I think that's all the plugs we have to do. So thank you very much for listening.
We get to do those plugs.
We do.
You don't have to do them. We get to do them.
Listen, the one part of me that's the business side is a part of me telling the other part of me that talks that I have to do these. Listen, all right. Happy World Cup Day, everybody.
Take care. Thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate you guys hanging around here with us. If you enjoyed these clips, go check us out on Wicked Good Sports, where we have all kinds of soccer coverage, as well as our main podcast here, Swinging at Shins. You can find the links in the description below.